Magnus, a new year. How has it started for Vattenfall?
I think we have come off to quite a good start in Vattenfall. Things are happening around us. We can see for the first quarter that we had very good production in nuclear, of course. I think that's very good for us. We can also see a good development in customer growth, and we have introduced more renewables in terms of wind power parks that we have commissioned. So very positive. Also from regulatory side, we have some positive developments on the nuclear issue with new fund rules and things that are very positive. So a good start.
In terms of financial performance, the development is stable. What has contributed to that?
The underlying result is stable, as you say, but it's also different parts of it. If you look to the electricity price, it continues downwards, and we have to counteract that, and then we're actually doing that in a very good way, because you see other business areas which are improving at the same time. Like for instance in heat, we can see that in distribution, and we also have the development now with more wind growth. So we're balancing out the company in a different way, being less reliant on the electricity price alone, and that's also part of the plan.
Stefan, looking at the various results, however, we see a difference between the underlying result and the net result. What's impacting here?
I think that's this time very different effects than we had in the year-end closing, where we had this very big gap between the underlying and the reported result. The effect that we see here is more a temporary effect. So this year we have changes in the market prices, and these need to be reflected partially in the books, but it's rather a time delay effect. So this is only a temporary effect that we will recover in the underlying result and then also in the reported result in later periods. And also we had in the last year, that's if you compare the quarters 16 to the first quarter of this year, a one-off effect from a sale of the network service business in Hamburg, which gave us a one-off positive result. So that's creating this, if you like, gap. But it's mainly basically, as I said, a temporary effect.
Coming back to electricity prices again, we are seeing them picking up a bit though. How much has that helped in any way, and what's your outlook?
We had a very, very low price in the first quarter last year, so relatively speaking, it looks that it's quite an improvement, but still we're currently at a level where we feel we are still under quite some pressure, so it's not really an improvement. We also see further backwardation, means i.e. falling price expectation in the coming few years before we see a slight upward trend. So you cannot really speak of a relief or a pickup in prices of any significant level. That means we still need to be very sharp on our cost management.
Magnus, you just mentioned nuclear availability in Sweden, approaching nearly 100%, which is fantastic. What has contributed to this?
Well, the big difference is that we started Ringhals 2 after almost 2 years outage at the beginning of December last year. And of course, since then, we have been running both Ringhals and Forsmark in a very professional way. And it also tells us how important nuclear is, because it is a big part of Vattenfall's generation and also a big part of Sweden's generation when it comes to electricity. So I'm very happy for that.
Stefan, we've been recently really successful at attracting new customers. In what areas and what's happening?
I think it has been a very good effort, an impressive effort throughout the organization. We see that in customers and solutions, that they're really on a net scale winning a lot of customers, I think with a lot of dedicated work, and I would say also sharp pricing. But also in the heat area, we are quite successful in acquiring customer growing. Same goes for distribution. Distribution is also adding new customer. Partially, we operate in growing areas like around Stockholm, also in Germany. Berlin, for example, is a growing city, so we benefit from that. So you can really see it's really an effort throughout, also in the more decentralized new solutions that are developed. We can now see more initiatives picking up. So that I think is quite promising. Of course, always balancing the growth versus the profitable growth. And of course, eventually we look for profitable growth and not growth for the sake of growth.
Magnus, more customers are choosing Vattenfall, yet we see in some markets, such in Sweden, that we rank quite low in public perception. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I can see that, and I think partly that's describing a little bit of the media picture there is of Vattenfall, and of course this is one of the most important things for us to change it. But if you look to the customers, we can see that they are appreciating us, and we are measuring as a strategic target something called Net Promoter Score, which means how we ask our customers, are they prone to promote us to their neighbors and others? And they actually are, and I think we see this development in the growth. And we're also active, of course, on customer acquisitions sites where we also grow, and we grow also with new new sales companies in other geographical parts of Europe.
Magnus, wind is a key growth area for us. However, recently in license auction, prices are hitting bottom. How is that going to affect us?
This is a really interesting question, where we see it comes from the German offshore auctions, where we have seen two players, Dong and EnBW, actually offering 0 for the opportunity to build out 2 big new wind parks outside the west coast of Germany. And it's actually not that they have suddenly very low costs. They take a different stance on pricing, and they have such a positive outlook on pricing that they don't need to have a subsidy. And I think that's a development we will see now, more and more going into this direction. But of course, it's very positive because it means that we now see a subsidy-free opportunity to go in new energy electricity production. That would mean also that countries would have the opportunity to not only build perhaps more on wind farms on land, they can build it offshore where it's much easier actually. People don't have so much views on that. So I think bottom line, it's a very positive development going forward, and we will see how it will actually fit Vattenfall strategy. That's the next question.
So we see a lot of things happening in Vattenfall. We've recently entered new markets, new business areas. What can we expect from 2017?
Yeah, let me come back to the nuclear production. Of course, I think we have a very good start. Let's keep that now also going for the rest of the year, because nuclear is equally important all over the year. But I also think we have a lot of activities when it comes to come closer to our customers, where we are starting to develop to sell solutions which is not only electricity but also including heat pumps, as we just acquired part of a heat pump company in Sweden for geothermal heat pumps. And we will see more of that customer close operation, and also we will start investing more in solar power. We still have wind power developments, where we are now currently working on the Horns Rev project in Denmark, which is a big investment for Vattenfall and very important, and we also will participate in auctions. So I have a lot of interesting things going into this year, and I think the momentum is really there.
Thank you to you both.
Thank you.